Carved out of the heart of the same hill of Tufo which hosts the amphitheatre and necropolis, practically invisible from the outside apart from the entrance, is perhaps the strangest monument found on our journey. The Mitreo. Created by the joining of three tombs, it was used during the course of the 1st century AD as a place of worship for the followers of the god Mitra. During the Middle Ages, it was converted to a Christian church. The structure has kept intact typical characteristics of places of Mitraic worship. A main nave covered by a barrel vault. 2 narrow side aisles. A long seat which connects the pillars of the nave. A series of steps placed in front of the altar. Finally, a niche in which the bas-relief representation of Mitra sacrificing the cosmic bull would have been housed. The floor of the church consisted of a layer of fragments of crushed pottery, pounded with loam, creating a uniform and compact layer which can even withstand washing with water. At the centre of the central nave a hole was dug, which was possibly destined for the collection of blood of sacrificial bulls, or perhaps to house the body of a local martyr, since at the time of the excavation the remains of a skeleton were uncovered. In 1700 the church was dedicated to the Madonna col Bambino, the Madonna and Child, as we can see from the position of the fresco representing Mary and the baby in her arms in the niche at the rear of the altar. By taking away this fresco, one opens up the present entry place at the back of the central nave and definitively closes the original, transforming it into a window. In the room next door, which today acts as a vestibule to the actual church, valuable frescoes dating back to the middle of the 14th century have been preserved. Of particular interest is the fresco above the door connecting the two rooms. It represents the legend behind the foundation of the sanctuary of San Michele sul Monte Gargano. Looking at the highest right-hand part of the fresco, we can see a cave with a bull standing guard at the entrance. The cave represents the sanctuary of San Michele sul Gargano, destination for a procession of pilgrims illustrated beneath it. This constitutes one of the principal subjects of the upper part of the fresco. In the year 728, King Longobardo Liut Prado, in order to obtain a pardon from Pope Gregorio, made a gift to him of the Castellum Sutriensi, together with lands which he had conquered. These became the first nucleus of the church state. From that time a period of rapid growth began for Sutri. It became an obligatory stop used by illustrious people such as bishops, artists, kings and emperors, all protagonists of medieval history. Sigerico, Archbishop of Canterbury, who completed his pilgrimage around the year 990, and later between 1151 and 1161, the Icelandic monk Nicholas of Monk Cathvera mentioned a Sutri Maggiore and a Sutri Minore, identifiable respectively as the present-day historic centre and the new urban system known as Borgo Sutrino, no longer visible today. Many commercial and craft activities were to be found in the new conurbation. Hotels and inns, hospitals and churches, which together with innumerable reception centres for pilgrims that directed thousands of them to find safe shelter. The guilds of cobblers and leather workers became so important they gave their name to an entire district. But what would a medieval pilgrim have seen arriving at Sutri along the Via Cassia on the way to Rome? The city must have been a fascinating spectacle. Anyone arriving at Sutri from the north, travelling along the Via Cassia, would not in fact have travelled along the present-day path outlined in the bottom of the valley, but would have joined it from the top of the hill of Santo Stefano, which was the first fortified outpost of the city, densely populated and protected by a system of turreted walls. The view took in the whole city with all its complex structures, its 3 hills and the valley, all protected by city walls and towers. The city was dominated by scores of bell towers, the most imposing of which was that belonging to the cathedral. In addition, there were fortified towers in defence of the walls and casatori spread out along the roads of the city, some of which can still be seen today. From the notarial deeds which are still conserved today in Sutri, it appears that around the year 1000 there were a very large number of churches in the town. This clearly illustrates the importance of the town at that time. Unfortunately, after the first half of the 1500s, probably due to a flood, almost everything disappeared, and nothing today but occasional traces of the former glory are to be found. On the slope on Monte Frantocci, overlooking the modern-day city and seat of the ancient Borgo, the church of San Paolo and its adjoining convent were to be found. The ancient tower with its sharply pointed portal remained to show us the vestiges of another time and its important history. Nearby stood the church of Sant'Andrea, in existence from 1095, whose stones are probably mixed with those of the old buildings used as stables in the zone facing Porta Vecchia or Porta Francetta. Hidden still among the vegetation, one can just make out high upon the hill the ancient church of Montebona, or Madonna del Carmine, which today lies abandoned. All that is left of other churches, such as Santa Cecilia, San Pietro, and San Tommaso, is the mention of them in the notarial deeds. On the left side of the Via Casa, opposite the amphitheatre, stood the churches of Santa Vittoria e Santa Fortunata. Of the first, no trace remains. The second, albeit in a state of evident abandon, maintains intact its religious splendour. The origin of the church of Santa Fortunata is certainly to be found in an Etruscan necropolis, successively adapted as a residence by the Syrian-Palestinian monks with the addition of a stone church. Around the 10th century, it became a Benedictine monastery. San Romualdo, founder of the Camaldolesi, resided here. Like Santa Vittoria, it was destroyed by fire in 1433 by Niccolo Fortebraccio.